Welcome, everyone, to episode 334 of Just Joshing. I'm your host, Joshua Pantellaresco. I write stuff in podcasts too. Today, HourADayGamer joins the podcast. Now, HourADayGamer is a streamer. A streamer, for those of you who do not know, is a person that actually goes online and plays games in front of a live audience every day. And in his case, he plays independent games from all sorts of independent developers across the board. This was fun. This was a lot of fun. He's a really cool dude, and I had a blast. This is something new and different for me, and I think you guys will enjoy this. This was definitely a lot of fun. This week, my newest column's up at firstcomicsnews.com. I do a review of Green Lantern Volume 2, Number 1, which was a lot of fun to do. Like I said, right now, just settling into the new place, getting things rolling. Actually, that's what I'm definitely doing right now is I'm getting things rolling. I'm really excited about some of the things I'm up to. But for now, let's get to our conversation, shall we?
This episode of Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint supports creators by creators. Whether you are writing a book or creating a video game, Indie Imprint works with its clients to produce, edit, and present their projects to the world. For more information, check out their website at www.indieimprint.com.
So the recorder is officially on, Mr. HourADayGamer. So my first question is, I've asked this to almost everybody. If you got anything incriminating you'd like to say, make it good.
Well, let's see. Nothing like criminal, but when I was in 7th grade, I lied to my parents and told them that I was staying after school to work on some homework, but really, I was staying after school to use the, fancy computers to play Chips Challenge. And that's just how it was. Our computer at home wasn't that great, and Chips Challenge was an excellent game to play on the school's computers, so that's what I did.
That's amazing. All right. See. You know what I really love about asking that question? I asked it for two reasons. I ask it because the first part is it's a question that usually makes people relax because it's like, yep. What the fuck? Or is he right? But the second part is right. But the second part, the thing that I personally get out of this is either how creative someone is or how honest someone is. Right.
Yeah.
Well, because it's funny because it's like, okay, you want to hear something? My favorite answer still belongs to Sophia Evangelina. She said she stole everything good and patented it. And I was like, that's a damn good answer. Can't really argue.
Yeah, it is. That's a good answer.
Yeah. So anyway, how are you?
I am doing very well. Just pretty busy. But, I had messaged you earlier, and I just thought of this. It just came into my head. I said that your voice reminds me of somebody. And I finally figured out who it was. It finally popped into my head.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
No.
Or do you want to know who that is?
I would love to know who that is.
It is Taylor Williamson. He was a super funny comedian off of America's Got Talent. And, the second that I heard your voice on your podcast, I was like, oh my God, it's like this guy. But then I had to Google it just to be sure. No, you're not that guy. So
No. I like to think I'm funny, but I'm not necessarily that funny.
After the interview, I'm sure you'll probably Google him and
check it out. It's okay. It's interesting because as I've slowly but surely been becoming more known, people go, "Hey, you remind me of somebody." I'm like, that's cool. I think. I can only look at that kind of stuff as a compliment anyway because, hey, people seem to like what I do, so I just go with it at this point. It's just like, hey, that's cool. If I make you feel good, I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I love what you do. It's super awesome.
Yeah,
thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So what are you playing today?
It is. Well, actually, tonight I'm playing a game called Rival Rebels.
Rival Rebels. What's it about?
Yeah, it's kind of like a space shooter type thing, and it's from a solo indie developer. He's done it all by himself over the course of probably 6 or 7 years, I believe he told me. All the graphics, the music, everything.
Oh, wow.
By himself. And multiplayer game, so I actually hopped into a server with him, and he was kind of showing me around, showing off the game a little bit, and like I just instantly fell in love with it. So here we are. We're going to stream it tonight. Be the world premiere for it on a stream. So it's going to be really exciting.
Ooh. So yeah, I kind of like your approach. I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually am a fan of some streamers. Like, I'm a big Hearthstone guy. So I like so for Hearthstone, I like 3. I like Kriparian because he's funny. Like, he's actually one of the funnier people to listen to when he's playing the game. He's good, but he has a certain dark humor to what he does. It's pretty funny. I like Straza because usually when she plays, she's very competitive, and it's been cool to watch her just get to the point where she is as good as she is, right? So that, like, there are streamers I am a fan of, whereas with you've kind of gone off the beaten path. All right, you're going to say, I'm going to see the newest games. I'm going to open them up, try them out, and it's like you're taking people on a journey. Like that,
Yeah, and I do like that. A lot of the games that I play, I go into them blind. Excuse me, a developer will hit me up on Twitter. That's usually the most common place I chat with people. They'll hit me up and they'll say, "Hey, I've got a game. Do you want to try it out?" So I'll download their game, or they'll email me a file, and I'll try it out. And like usually within 2 to 3 minutes, I'll stop playing it. Like, I'll just know instantly whether or not it's going to be a good game, or if I want to keep playing it, and then we'll set something up and I'll stream it. So yeah, a lot of the games that I play are pre-alpha. They're not even into the full beta release yet, so they're just like short demos.
So how long is your
world premieres on a lot of them?
So that's so you're a surprise. It's almost like you're the Percival of streaming. Percival as a character in fiction. It's the classic hero's journey archetype in one sense. It's like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen next, and it's easier for readers to relate to that kind of character because they have something in common with the readers that they don't know what's going to come, what's going to happen. I kind of feel like for you that's part of the fun. It's the adventure of just like, what is this? How does this work? And you probably have like your share of stinkers. Like, you're like, oh god, this is bad, right? But you also probably have your share of real hidden gems too.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I've had several games that have really, since I've streamed it, they've really taken off on their own and made their own path and everything. So I'm super happy to have been able to help promote them on Twitter and play their game and do like I said, the world premiere, and just have it really take off and see what they've done since I've streamed it. It's really awesome. That's
really cool. So I guess we're gonna go way back, and then we're gonna go way forward here. So yeah, because you talk about your 7th grade video game obsession. So you've been doing video games for a while. So what drew you in?
Well, I've just been gaming as long as I can remember. I still have my entire retro collection downstairs, all the way back to my Atari 2600, and I just remember Pac-Man was the very first game I ever played on Atari, and I think I get my full-on passion and love for gaming from my dad. And I remember being a kid, I just on the floor next to him, and he would be playing Legend of Zelda. And I've told this story before, so a lot of people that I know, they already know this story, but I'll tell you and your listeners. He was basically Google before Google was a thing. Like, he hand drew. He went through every single dungeon in Legend of Zelda and drew on grid paper, drew the entire dungeon, where he could blow holes in walls, where the keys were, where the items were, what type of boss it was, where the boss was located, all that stuff. Anything you needed to know about, he did. And and just seeing his passion and his love for it, I think that's kind of where I got my passion for it as well. And it's still, here I am, 36 years old, and I'm still doing it.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. See, I'm a little jealous because I move so much. I still have my retro collection goes back to PlayStation 1 at this point, which is still a long ways away, but it's not like the the system I miss the most actually is the Super Nintendo. I miss that system.
That's my favorite system.
Yeah, I miss that
by far, in my opinion, the best game system ever.
Well, it was just perfect. It had the right amount of games. Like, there's so many good games on that system.
So many.
Right? There's just the right amount of games. There's something for everybody. But there's a simplicity to it, too, that I think that... Don't get me wrong, I love, like, there's some modern games I'm a big fan of. I love the Persona series. I'm a big fan of it. I love Persona 5. I'm looking forward to Persona 5 Royal when it comes out. But, I mean, I look back at the old systems when I'm looking at, like, you know, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. It's still my one. Although that argument for me, Zelda is Ocarina of Time and Link to the Past. It's 1 and 1A. If you like one or the other, we will get along just fine, right? I love Final Fantasy 3.
A Link to the Past was awesome in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's a great game. It's still a great game even today. It's the last of the old school. It's the last that feels old school dungeon crawler, but I think the spirit was kept very strongly alive in Ocarina, and I'm just not cool enough to keep up with all the games anymore today. I'm just not cool. I had to come to terms with that a long time ago.
So, and the time, you know, there's just so many great games out there today. And
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, there's so many. But what I was saying, like, that system has simplicity to it, and I think one of the things that the reason why the retro industry is so big is because a lot of those games are very straightforward. Whereas if you look at a lot of games today, they're not as straightforward. Like, when you buy a game, the game itself is an okay experience, but there's usually downloadable content. There's usually a lot more to it. And don't get me wrong, part of that is just the model today. Again, games are built a little differently today than they were back then, but there is something.
They make more money that way too.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's a big part. That's a big part of it for sure. That is a big part of it for sure. But I mean, it's also the fact that, I mean, I think the cool thing about video games is that they're an art form that can constantly be expanded upon.
It is.
Right. It's
and also, like, something else I like about video games is it unites people. It has a way to unite people. It doesn't matter, like, where you're from, all over the world. It doesn't matter male, female. You know, it doesn't matter your sex, your race, your religious preferences. Nothing. None of that matters when you're all online playing a game together. And that's another thing I love about gaming.
Absolutely. No, it's the best. It's something I learned a long time ago. Like, just doing my career, I was just interviewing. I mentioned this out. There's not a soul alive that doesn't like to play. There's not a soul alive that doesn't like to do it. And I find that with people. If you try to get people to go try something, they're like, well, I don't know. But then when you want to play a game, the very first response is, what kind of game?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, everybody's like, what kind of game? Like, it's a natural thing. It's like, and because, again, now what you're doing is you're inviting someone to have fun and have an enjoyable experience doing something. And when you do that, you open doors. It's actually surprising. I am genuinely shocked, seriously, that when you go to school, they don't actually teach stuff with Lego. People would pick that up so much faster. You think I'm joking, but it's true. It's true.
I mean, like, you know, multiplication and division and everything. You can.
Oh, you can teach anything with Lego.
Legos.
No, you can teach anything with Lego. You can teach biology, physics. You can teach anything, right? It's just, the thing about it is, right? It's because you've changed the nature of the experience of learning. No one wants to sit in a classroom and be regurgitated facts, but you know what? I bet you love to learn the rules of physics by playing pinball. You know, that's for the first 3 months, I had like an A in physics just because I just imagined how a pinball would react. It's amazing how much that worked.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
I think test scores and everything would be much better if they taught it in a fun way. Especially kids nowadays who love video games.
Yeah,
Could do it.
Well, any kind of game, right? It's the nature of fun. Like, fun translates it to everybody, or everybody. And the one thing that, you know, even when I do stuff for my books and stuff like that, I find that like, even if they don't buy a book that day, they're going to remember the experience I gave them, and they're going to come back. That's the important part. All right, sales don't. All right, sales are great, but I mean, you're a streamer. This is what you do. You create an experience. You create actually an environment where people can feel safe. People can feel like they're part of the adventure, and they're having the fun vicariously through you. That's what you do.
And yeah, that's it in a nutshell. I mean, and I get a lot of messages, especially right after my stream when people, they get offline or whatever. I'm offline. They'll message me on Twitter and they'll say, "Man, another great stream. I had so much fun." All that good stuff, and it just makes me feel good. And it's an environment where everybody is just welcome to come back and hang out. And I mean, we talk about our days, we talk about movies, we talk about whatever happens to be happening. We'll just talk, and while I play a game, and they love checking out the game and hearing what I have to say.
All right, so let's see. Let's put you to a real hard test here, because I'm going to nail you to the ground. I'll be afraid, be very afraid.
Just forewarning, I'm a bad test taker.
Okay. This is good. Then this will be epic. I just go with it. So what if I had to pin you down? What are your favorite games? I'm gonna give you 3, just 3.
Okay, 3 favorite games. You're talking all time?
All time.
When I was a kid?
All time.
All.
And why?
Well, Legend of Zelda. Legend of Zelda #1. We've kind of already discussed that a little bit, but my dad's passion for it, I think, translated over to me. I actually just played through it again on the original Nintendo. I got it out, hooked it up to the TV, and started playing. I can't even count how many times I've played through that game. Like, I can actually picture every single screen.
Yeah.
Scrolling screens, or I can picture every single screen where the what enemies are on each screen and all that stuff. So I mean, I just love that game so much. So that one is, and number 2, it's kind of a toss. I love Skyrim, and I love the original Borderlands. So if I had to pick, I think I would go with Borderlands as number 2.
Okay.
Just because I love the action, I love the graphics, I love everything about it, man. And just run around little lockers for cash and everything. I could do that all day long.
Okay.
And then number 3, like I said, would be Skyrim. And again, it's just the open world exploration. You can do what you want, when you want, and everything about that game was awesome. I played through it several times as well, and each time I played a little differently. One time, I think the first time, I just made a barbarian guy that was just, he's going to run up to you and smash your skull in with a mace or whatever, and that was it. Then another time I did an archer build, kind of a ranged weapon guy, and so that it kind of changes the way you play the game too, with the different character build. And another time I just did fist only. It was just me, and I focused everything on magic, and I just killed everything with magic. So it was really cool.
I'd be more of this guy. I'm a classic. Once upon a time, I was good at fighting games, like really, really good at fighting games. Back in my day, and I'm not much older than you, but when I was really into gaming, it was Street Fighter for me.
Street Fighter.
Yeah, Street Fighter 2. I used to be near pretty close to a championship caliber at that game. I'm not there anymore. I'm not even close to that anymore. Yeah. Well, no, I was really good at that game. I remember actually. So I'll give you a fun story. So when I was living in Windsor, Ontario, there's this arcade for Street Fighter Alpha 3, and this guy walks in, and so we have. You don't mind if we fight? Sure. I win the round. He grins. He was shocked because he didn't expect to lose. It's like, all right. So he turns it up. He turns up the intensity, and me and him really go at it. Right? First, he was shocked that my choice was Vega, and his choice was. Then he went to Ryu. Oh man, it was a crazy, crazy, crazy match. Turns out, when he lived in the Caribbean, he was the champion.
Oh wow!
A long time ago. Like he was a little past his prime, but I mean, oh man, fighting someone that good and being able to hold your own.
That's awesome.
Yeah, being able to hold your own. I can't do that anymore. But that's how good I was at that game once upon a time.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I liked playing it, but I never was,
Oh, it got, like, with fighting games for me, it got to a point where no one would play me. It got to that point. It didn't matter what fighting game it was. I remember, like, when I was, again, in Windsor, Ontario, then Tekken 4 came out, right? It was my first time playing a 3D fighter. 3D fighters are very different than 2D fighters, as you know.
They are.
Very, very, very different. It took me a little bit to get used to the 3D aspect, but once I got good at it, I got to a point where no one wanted to play me that game. Because they're just like, come in, they let me do my, I would just do my, what I call my due diligence against the computer, try different things out there, but no one would fight me. Because I just got to that point with those games.
Yeah, nobody wants to lose every time.
Yes. No, that's it. I would get to that point, and it would be, like I said, I'm not there anymore. Like, what happens with fighting games is there's like a muscle, like, there is a muscle memory requirement there. I still mentally know what to do in a game, but I don't have the reflexes anymore to do it. And so I'm competent. Like, I'll beat a newbie. But if you got experience, you'll kick my ass now. But back in the day, like, those were my games. There's something that's very satisfying about them. I guess that means I'm a bit of a savage.
I mean, the fighting genre is huge, mega tournaments and everything. So there's nothing wrong with a good fighting game. But man, I'm terrible at them.
It's okay. Everybody's got their thing, right? All right. Like I like my other love is RPGs. Like, like I said, I mentioned Persona. I love Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is a fun game.
Chrono Trigger. That's the guy. Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
Almost everybody likes Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, almost. Hey, listen, if you guys don't know what Chrono Trigger is, that's cool. We'll forgive you for that. It is a classic game. If you know it and don't like it, you're not human. It's all good.
Very true.
Yeah, I love from more recently, like people say what they want about Skyrim, but my favorite little gem was Ni no Kuni. I really enjoyed that game.
See, I never did play that one. I never did, pull the trigger and go get it.
And that one's good. That one's amazing. I think for me, I think here's the thing. Skyrim, in one sense, like, Skyrim is a little too, and I'm not going to say realistic in terms of the world and the experience. It's really immersive and it's a good game. But I do like that the fact that I have that feeling that I know it's a different world, a different experience. It's like a different thing. And Ni no Kuni, because of the art style and how it does it, it's actually in the game's part Monster Hunter 2. And it's got so many things you can do in that game. And it's great. I really, really, really dug it. So,
well, I might have to check that one out then. I mean, I'm always open up, to try to explore new games and check them out. So I'll write that one down.
Yeah. Ni no Kuni is like, from my recent times, and obviously we're both Legend of Zelda guys. I already said my love for Ocarina of Time. So I mean, that's pretty good. But every once in a while, like, I'm also love the classic stuff. I love Punchout. I love Double Dragon. I love Tetris. So.
Oh my God, Punchout and Tetris. Gosh, I've spent so many hours when I was young. And I actually, I had the not the original one, like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but I had the one that had
Mr. Dream. Yes.
And I was like, okay, that's okay. But then I was at a yard sale about 10 or 15 years ago. Yeah, probably about 15 years ago. And there was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for $0.25. And I was like,
I'm in.
That was like my big find of the day was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for $0.25. So I went straight home and put it in and Nintendo and started playing.
So here's a fun thing. So when I first got a Nintendo, that was one of the first games I got, was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And my uncle and my dad would stay up at night to figure out how they box these guys. It's true. It's really true.
Definite pattern with all of them. Yeah.
Well, once you get to like King Hippo, once you figure him out, it's easy, right? Once you figure him out,
he's the guy in the game, just about.
Once you figure him out. But when you first fight him, it's like you can't fight him like he's the first one you can't fight normally. Actually, Don Flamenco is still the first time you fight him is still the easiest guy to fight in the game. He's still.
I like the in between the rounds they have the different graphics.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
The more points you've scored, like, it makes his hair start disappearing.
Yes, no, it's true.
Beating his head.
Yeah, no, I think although like the mean thing to do to friends, if you really want to be mean to them, give him, like, once you have Mike Tyson's code, make him fight Tyson right away.
Oh yeah, very first fight here. You've never played the game before. Here's Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a very cruel thing to do.
Yeah,
very, very cruel.
Well, just one of those things. My final story. I had a buddy, so we were living together, and this is when the new Punch-Out, like the current Punch-Out, came out. So I go through the first go around. I beat Mr. Sandman. Now I'm fighting the improved Glass Joe, right? And he was relatively drunk, so I got to watch him try to drunkenly beat Glass Joe for 2 hours. It was glorious watching him fail. It was glorious. Because I was struggling with him, but it's like I'll figure him out. I'm like I'm not really worried about it, because you know when you first fight these guys, you're just trying to figure your stuff out.
Right.
But he's like, I could take him. I want to see that. Here you go. And it was funny. He got more and more. Well, it was funny to watch, because he'd just get hammered. Like, it was just like he was hammered, and I was watching him get hammered. I was like, this is appropriate. I approve. Sometimes it's good to watch people like that. That's cool. That's one of those things. But I think my favorite, honestly, the cool thing about Punch-Out is the characters. Like, they're all so unique. They're all so
very unique.
Yeah, they're all so unique. And the correction I really love that they did in this Punch-Out, Mr. Sandman was way harder than Super Macho Man. Way harder.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, way harder.
The original, back in the day, yeah, Mr. Sandman was terrible.
Yeah.
And you remember Soda Popinski?
Yes, I do.
Super, just a great character design and everything for it. But did you know, a little tidbit here, you might know, that the Super Punch-Out arcade machine had him in it. Of course, they kind of modeled Mike Tyson's Punch-Out off of that. And his name was, what was it? Vodka Drunkinski.
I didn't know that. Yeah. Well, I do know that Soda Popinski was like an excuse. Like, he would get drunk in the ring. He's a drunken boxer. Like, that's what he's supposed to be. No, they kiddied him up a little bit now.
Exactly.
But right
here in America, they couldn't do that. So had to be Soda Popinski.
That's right. But that all said, either way, he's still a fun character. And when you fight him in the new one, the music is just awesome.
I haven't played the new one.
So the new one, your first go around, you're going to stop it until you get to obviously Mr. Sandman is still Mr. Sandman, but until then you'll stomp it pretty hard. The second time around is when it gets.
So in the new one, like I'm assuming it's like on current platforms like PS4 and stuff.
It's on the Nintendo, not the Switch, but the previous one, the Wii U.
Oh, the Wii U. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a Wii U, so that's probably why I didn't know that it was out. I'm like, holy cow! If there's another Punch-Out out here, I want to go try to get it.
Yeah. Well. And here's the cool thing about it. It's got most of the good characters from the classic Punch-Out, a couple ones from Super Punch-Out as well, and a couple new characters too.
Nice.
But the character work in those games is fantastic, and they switched him up. Mr. Sandman's the boss in the game, not Super Macho Man. Although Super Macho Man is my favorite character, just because of how they the story they tell with him. He's an over-the-top Hollywood douchebag like he was in the first game, but there's a lot more personality to him now. He's hilarious. Both when I actually lost to him on purpose, just because he's such a heel. It's funny. It's entertaining.
So he's got like a cutscene or something.
Oh, they all have cutscenes. They all do, win or loss. But his like. My favorite one to go around is the second time. After you beat him, you get to fight the entire roster again, and they all are improved, all of them, right? Glass Joe has a helmet. King Hippo has a sewer cover on his stomach, so you can't knock him out that way. Like, there's just silly things, right? So
How did I not know about this game?
Yeah. So Super Macho Man. So Super Macho Man shows up. Like, he loves the spotlight, so the spotlight won't touch him. And he tries to get into it, and no matter what he does, he can't escape. He goes, "Why won't you love me?" Right? And it's like, it's
that That is great.
No, the character stuff in Punchout is fantastic. It's just like, I don't really care. Like, is it the greatest game ever? No, but is it one of the most fun experiences you'll ever have? Yeah, it's great. It really is. And heck, you get to fight Doc Lewis in this game, right? As a training, like you spar with him, but there's a bonus fight with him too. You get to a point where you knock his chocolate bars out of his hand. He gets really mad. It's pretty fun stuff, right? They have fun with the game. Like, the game is super fun, and that's the thing. Like, that is the closest. Actually, I'll give the developers this is the closest I've ever come to feeling like this is a classic Nintendo game, because it's reimagined. It's got a lot of the same heart in it.
And that's what's great, especially like when they build on retro games, or they try to remake it, come out with a next installment in the series. It's nice when they can still make you feel, especially for us older, quote unquote, older gamers, that remember how it used to be back in the day, and they can actually put a modern spin on it, and still, 6 years old, and you're sitting there in front of your TV just mashing the buttons trying to figure stuff out. I mean, that's super awesome.
Yes. Oh, yeah, you have that option with that game. Like, that's a game I really enjoyed. I'm actually debating about getting myself a Nintendo Switch, actually.
I've been debating that as well.
Yeah. I love some of the game selections in there, and I just love also the fact that it's portable.
Yeah. That'd be great, just be able to take it anywhere you go.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking. It's the debate I'm having right now.
And Breath of the Wild, I'm a big Zelda fan, so I've never played Breath of the Wild, but I've watched a lot of streams of it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to play this game, but
yes.
I just never have pulled the trigger on getting it.
Yeah, no, it's been my, like, I've had a couple of friends go, just get it, you won't regret it. Like, the one thing, like, and I noticed that we both have a lot of, well, at least I maybe this is how I carry the conversation, but we both have a lot of love for the retro Nintendo eras of games. So,
for sure.
But the other big strength. The other big strength.
Well, I was gonna say, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say was the Game Boy, like the portable games. They were all amazing too. It was almost as good as the, like, Super Nintendo is my favorite system of all time, but the Game Boy is probably the smartest way they ever did business.
Exactly. It's funny you mentioned the Game Boy. I was supposed to stream last Tuesday night, and I couldn't because the power went out. So here I was, and I was like, man, everybody's expecting me to stream. What am I going to do? So I I sent a tweet out, and I had taken a picture of my Game Boy Color with the light attachment. You know how you can slide the light attachment over to head speakers and everything?
Absolutely.
And I took a picture of that, and I started playing Pokemon Red for the other night. So yeah, and it still works today. I mean, the Game Boy Color is, I don't know, 20 years old, 25 years old, and I can still just turn it on and play it like I was when I was 12 again. It's just
Well, these experiences never go away, and I think that the one cool thing streamers always do is you bring back that experience, and we are, like, our generation's old enough to remember when this stuff started, and so, like, it connects to us and new generation. I mean, hey, games are just a cool part of life, and
I think that's why I like indie games, is because a lot of the indie games that I played remind the Super Nintendo era. They're like 16 graphic games, and it's just super, super awesome. And one in particular that I always go back to is called what's it called? Martian Law. And it's just it's you're this little alien guy with a gun, from Mars, and there's bombs coming down from above, and you have to try to shoot these bombs out of the air before they blow up. And you have little Martians running from each side of the screen, and there's a bunker on the bottom in the middle of the screen. They're trying to get to this bunker that's been built. So you're trying to blow the bombs up before the bombs come down and kill your little Martian friends. And, it's just super, it reminded me so much of standing in an arcade. You're like me, you remember the old arcades where
yes.
You walk in and it's just wall-to-wall arcade machines. Well, like I always say, like, man, I'm 12 years old. I've got a pocket full of quarters. I've got a big gulp in my hand, and I'm walking towards this arcade machine. and I just spend hours right here, just dump $20 in quarters into this one game, and that's how Martial Law makes me feel, and that's what a lot of these indie games do for me. It takes me back to a different time, and I think that's why they resonate so much with me.
I think there's a big demand for that. I think there's still a huge demand for like the retro gaming experience is still a very popular one, even with people that play the games today, because it's not complicated. It's just playing a game. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. What you described reminded me a little bit of Galaga, almost like the old school Galaga games. Like, right, you be shooting that stuff all the time just to make sure that like nothing got through, nothing got by, nothing would hit you, right?
Exactly.
So is it the same thing? One hit, you're dead.
Yeah, one hit, you're dead, and you start over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You unlock new levels by saving a certain number of Martians. Like, you start out with one level, and then in order to unlock the next screen, which it doesn't change anything about the game, it's just a different background, and with a few different things you can hide behind. So, like, the next level, in order to get to it, you have to save 100 Martians. Well, then, once you die, you start over, and you can pick the second level if you want, or you can play the first one again. And there's like 3 or 4 levels, I can't remember, I think 3 levels. And you just try to save as many Martians as you can. It keeps track of your high score all the time, like the most you've saved. And it's just really, really cool, man. It's a great game.
Yeah, so there you go. You're going to send me a link to that when it's over, so check it out. But that sounds really cool, man. Yeah. Let's see here. So, how long have you been streaming?
I started in September, so 4 months, something like that. Yeah, about 4 months now.
So here's the thing. Now we're kind of coming into the era of esports are rising, like, just in general. Everybody like still plays games. Like I mentioned Hearthstone earlier. My actual true game of choice right now is Shadowverse, which is like a more serious Hearthstone. So, but everybody's got a game like they're playing, and it seems like this is a growing community. So
it is.
Yeah. So
you can, in just about any game. Like, if you look, you go online and you do a search for like a list of games, and just see like how many games are on, let's say, the PlayStation 4, and you just find a big long list of every PlayStation 4 game they've made, and you can go onto Twitch or Mixer, but usually Twitch, they're a little bigger, or quite a bit bigger. But you go on a Twitch, and you can, just about any time of the day, you could probably find somebody playing any number of those games.
Absolutely.
And it's just crazy. There's a specific game out there for each person.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy how you can build it. Like I said, it's something I might experiment with down the road myself a little bit as well. Just because, again, just someone that wants to write books and someone that wants to pursue a lack of day job, and like I said, we'll see how the year goes. I have some big, scary, ambitious plans for myself this year, but there might
stars, man.
Well, oh yeah, hell yeah, man! Life's too short. Life's way too short.
Exactly.
You have to be willing to, like. I came into, like, I'm in Vancouver right now, and I came here with like I said, to make the most of my time here, however long I'm here, and I'm treating every day like it's my last day. Like, what can I do to achieve a victory today? And, like, today, I have two people I'm interviewing, and my first time I've ever interviewed a streamer, so thank you very much for the honor for that.
Wow, well, thanks for having me. That's great.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever interviewed a streamer, and I'm interviewing somebody else later in the afternoon. But, like those are my victories today. And then tomorrow, I'm going to have other victories tomorrow. And then Monday, I'm going to have other victories Monday. And I just, every day, I'm just doing something and moving towards.
That's a good way to live, man.
Well, yeah, just that's the goal. Like, the goal is not to do the same things I did where I was. The goal is to go towards something different and becoming different. And that's it. And
I wish more people were driven like that. I wish more people thought like that.
It's hard. Well, the thing is, it's easy to do nothing. Like, that's the thing. It's the easiest thing in the world is to do nothing. And a lot of people, so they don't know what they want. So it's like, well, we'll just do what's easy. And I'm like, well, that's great, but I value time more than I value money. that's just the way I am. I built that way because the thing is, time you can't get back. You just can't. And so so for me,
there's only so much time.
That's it. So I'm looking at the fact is like what I'm doing now in terms of what I'm doing. I mean, the question I've asked myself a lot when I came out here was, do you want to keep doing this? And I realized that, like, obviously when you come out here, you have to start wherever you got to start, but that doesn't mean you have to stay there. And that's been my whole philosophy since I came out here. I have plans for anything that happens between now and a certain date, and I'm just rolling with it until then, and that's my plan. And like I said, I know when we get to the springtime here, things will get wild here, right? But in the meantime, I'm just preparing, and I'm just doing everything I can now to get everything that matters to me out, because that's important, you know. So
that is. Like I said, that is an absolutely wonderful way to live, you know. And I wish more people thought like that. And I think the world as a whole, no matter where you look at it or how you look at it, the world as a whole would be a better place if everybody tried to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
Just try to be better every day.
Yeah. Well, just try.
Be better.
It
doesn't mean that you have to be. It just means you're trying.
Well, yeah. Well, no one bats 1,000, man. No one does. Right? There's some days I don't. There's some days that, you know, I'm like, damn. But then I get up the next day. But there's always tomorrow. As long as even if there isn't always tomorrow, it's like I've done more than I didn't do. And like I said, my ultimate goal in life is to have no regrets. None. Right? Make mistakes? 1,000,000. Sure. I'll make a ton of mistakes. But no regrets.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
No regrets. Yeah, you don't regret at all. You learn from your mistakes and you move on.
Well, yep. Here's the thing I find that holds people back. I've said this on a few other podcasts. It's not the fear of failure, but the fear of success. What do you think about that?
It's an interesting way to look at it. I've never really thought of it like that, but that's really I think you hit the nail on the head there. That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
You know, because when I started streaming, I started doing YouTube before I started streaming on Twitch. Just because of the internet situation. I live out here in the middle of nowhere, so it was hard to get internet. So I barely had a decent internet connection speed, good enough to allow me to even play online games. So I started just doing YouTube at first with Call of Duty videos, with Black Ops 4. That's when I started with that. And, so last summer I made money on the side, mowing grass every weekend, to try to save up for one of those big, like, 40-foot antenna towers like you see on your grandparents' house or something with the old
Absolutely.
antennas on top. I was trying to save up for that in order to get my satellite up high enough over the trees to, get a decent signal so I could actually start streaming. Well, they came out, my ISP did, they came out, and they did a full site survey one last time. They'd already done it once, but, here we are. I wanted one last time before I spent like $800 on this tower. And they found a spot like 200 feet from my house. They actually had a clear, I guess the way the land falls, it was actually higher than my house. And 200 feet from my house, and they had a crystal clear line of sight to their tower. All I had to do was cut down a couple of trees off the backside of my pond dam, and it was golden. So once I got the good enough internet connection speed, I had that money set aside from mowing grass that I didn't need now for a tower. So I put that into my stream and started streaming. I bought my laptop and stuff like that with it. So, but yeah, so I actually didn't start till September, but I was building a foundation before that, and I was trying to build relationships with people. And, I think that's a key to success in life, not just streaming. You want to interact with people and build solid foundations of friendships with people. And, that goes back to what you were saying about trying to be better every day. I try to meet people every single day and try to help people if I can on Twitter or whatever it may be. If they just need somebody to talk to or, vent to or whatever, I'll just, okay, send me a message and I'll see what I can do, I'll just sit here and listen. So I try to help somebody every day. And like you said, it's just paying it forward or whatever and just trying to be better than you were yesterday. So streaming and all that stuff is the way I do that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. So is there an end goal with the streaming? Are you going to become a great galactic empire, or are you trying? So are you just content going off into your own beat path? Because there's nothing wrong with either way you go.
I think every streamer, to an extent, everybody originally starts because they want to be a full-time streamer. They want to do it full-time. They want to be able to have financial stability from the streaming in order to quit their regular day-to-day job. And yeah, I mean, I would like to do that, but I can't. Realistically, it's not in my blood that's not how I was raised, to ask people to support me. So, like, I would need to go out and get sponsorships and, from big companies and all that stuff in order to do this full time. Like Dr. Disrespect or somebody like that, or Ninja, they've got huge endorsement deals, huge sponsorships and stuff, so they make plenty of money. They don't have to go to a regular, 8-hour-a-day job. Whereas me, that's why my name is HourADayGamer. I mean, I literally don't have very much time for gaming, less than an hour a day on average. And, because I work 40 plus hours a week. So, but yeah, I think the ultimate goal for me was, I would love to do this full time. But also I'm in an organization that we call the Indie Dev World Order. And it's just a group of, I believe our Discord is over 500 members now. And it's just a group of game developers, artists, writers, animators, voice actors, anything to do with indie development. There's somebody in the Discord that does that. And we all just work together, we brainstorm, we bounce ideas off of each other, and it's really a global movement because there's people from all over the world in it. And, it's just a super great community, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm the lead streamer for it. And, I try to promote it as much as possible. And it's just super, super awesome. So I want to use this organization, the Indie Dev World Order, and I want to, with the other leaders, I want to bring indie gaming to the forefront. I want to be able to have indie games, whenever kids make their Christmas lists out for Santa, and, they're making their birthday list for their parents, I want them to say, hey, there's this great indie game coming out, I want that game, as opposed to Call of Duty or, these big names, these big AAA titles. So I want to bring indie gaming to the forefront. That's my main end goal. Whether I do this thing full time or not, I want indie gaming to be well known.
In that case, man, just keep doing what you're doing. What's going to eventually happen is more time will find you. Like that's how this works. Like at some point you're going to make the decision, I'm going to create more time, and when you do, you'll figure out how to do it, and then slowly but surely, doors open up that way, man. That's just how it works.
Right. Yeah, and I've got my wife and son, and we all work. My son goes to school, then he's got extracurricular activities, all that stuff. So really, by the time I get home at night, I'm super I can either go to bed and sleep for the next day, or to get ready for the next day, or I can spend a little bit of time gaming. So I usually pick up a game and I'll try it out, especially with this indie thing I've got going on. I've got so many indie games that people have given to me, demos or whatever to try.
Yes.
So I'll try to at least get those demos in a little bit of game time before I go to bed. And then I stream 3 nights a week. That's about all I can muster until, like you said, create more time or something changes.
And things do.
That's about it for me.
It will work there. It will eventually. It's just how the universe tends to work. It's one of those things where you have to kind of go, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to carve my niche, do my thing, and then I'm going to go. And that's right now for me. At this point, I'm building a foundation for what's next for me. And I know, because there's going to come a point, and I just know this too personally, that I have the fortune or misfortune, depending on your point of view, of being single and free. So I can take bigger leaps of faith, and so that's going to be one of the things I'm prepping for, is my first major leap of faith out here. And while I'm doing that, for now though, I have to go through what I'm going through, and I'm totally good with that. But it's just one of those things. I'm building that foundation, and then I'm going to take a little bit of a leap, and then I'm going to, and we'll see where it goes from that leap. Maybe I have to go back and go back. Maybe I go forward, right? But I'm ready for it. And there will come a point, I think, with you, you'll be like, you know what? I can do this. Let's go. And when you do, best of luck to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I hope so. I wish you the best of luck on your leap, whatever that may be.
Yep.
I'd love to hear about it. But yeah, hopefully this Indie Dev World Order thing will take off, and we can accomplish our goals as a whole, and then that will help me accomplish my goal as an individual. So I'm really hoping we can make this work.
Well then, a toast to your success. Mr. HourADayGamer.
Definitely a toast.
Yeah, Mr. HourADayGamer. I think it's apropos that we're near an hour, so I think this is a good spot to end the interview. So why don't you?
Okay.
Why don't you tell people?
Perfectly fine.
Yeah. Why don't you tell people where your server is, how people can find you on whatever channels you do your thing, you do your stuff at, and what you're currently playing?
Well, currently, tonight I'm playing a game called Rival Rebels. I don't stick to one game too long. Variety streamer, I want to show off as many indie games as I can. A game more than once or twice on stream. But yeah, so that's where I'm a variety indie streamer. I am HourADayGamer across all platforms. Discord, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. I do have Facebook, but I don't really use Facebook too much. But Twitter is my main thing. If somebody wants to get a hold of me, just search HourADayGamer on Twitter, and it'll bring me right up. And my messages, my direct messages are open. You don't have to be a follower. Anybody can message me. I'm open to meeting new people. Like I said, Twitter is the absolute best way to get a hold of me.
Fair enough. Do you have a website or anything like that?
No, I've thought about doing a website, but again, I just haven't done it.
No, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough. All right. Well, dude, thank you very much for this.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
I want to thank HourADayGamer for his time. This was definitely a very fun conversation. His stream happens regularly, 1 hour at a time. He literally plays a new game. Definitely take a look at him when you get the chance. Follow him on Twitter at HourADayGamer. I want to thank Indie Imprint for introducing us. That was a really cool conversation, so thanks, guys. It was a lot of fun to do. So, speaking of Indie Imprint, I think you're going to be really happy to know this. I'm finally going to be starting to use my new microphone and getting the interviews from there. Next week is going to be two familiar faces, and one of them I've been waiting to have come back for about 300 episodes. So this was fun to actually finally see them come back. The other is a really fun chat about politics with Craig DeLuey, which is perfect about his book. And then we get to CanCon finally, which is going to be a lot of fun to talk about. But for now, that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so in a number of different ways. You can subscribe to the podcast. I am on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, as well as Podomatic, as well as a lot of other players as well. Click the like button, subscribe, share it, let people know it's out there. It's awesome. Beyond that, on YouTube as Joshua Pentellaresco. Just subscribe to it. All my past episodes are there. There are currently 289 episodes there for you to listen to. Again, same thing. Like, share, exchange it. I have merchandise at jpentellaresco.redbubble.com. You can definitely buy a t-shirt, mug, cup, anything to support the podcast you'd like to. My books, The Watcher's Story and Answer Wandering God, are available through mirrorpublishing.com. Take a look and buy it. Going past that, stay inspired, everybody. One last thing. Twitter, Instagram at jpentellaresco. Facebook page, Joshua Pentellaresco, author, podcaster. Stay inspired out there, guys. And I'll talk to you guys next time.
Josh.